for this?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reading Time with Jarvis. I'm your host, Matthew Jarvis, financial planner extraordinaire. And over the last 18 years of my career, I've read more than 300 business books, most of which can be found on my office bookshelf. In this segment, Reading Time with Jarvis, I'm going to highlight some of my key takeaways because, again, only action counts. So some of my key takeaways from some of my favorite books. And this book is written by an author. Today's book, Hell Yeah or No by Derek Sivers. I first discovered Derek on the Tim Ferriss podcast. I would argue that Derek's interview with Tim Ferriss was, in fact, the single best Tim Ferriss podcast episode there has ever been. Now, that's in my personal opinion, but you can tell how impactful it was. So some of the things I'm going to share with you in this episode are from his book, and some of them are from his podcast interview. Of course, an abstract of that can be found in Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titans. So a couple of key things. Number one, Derek has this idea that something should either be a hell yeah or a no. So when we're looking at opportunities, especially for our more successful listeners, when Micah and I are looking at opportunities for the perfect RIA, we're trying to look and say, hey, is this a hell yeah idea or is it a nah, I'll do it? And if it's not a hell yeah, then the answer is no. So something to kind of keep in mind, a lens to keep in your mind as you're looking at decisions. Takeaway number two, Derek's website, which is sivers.org, SIVERS.org, is one of only two places I go to when I'm looking for new books to read. He has categorized some 200 books that he's read. Favorite place of mine to go. The second place that I go to look for books, in case you're wondering, is Nick Murray's resource section in his newsletter. That's those two places are where I get most of my book recommendations. Another key takeaway from this book, if information was the answer, then we'd all be billionaires with perfect abs. It's a Derek Sivers quote from his book and also from his podcast interview. It's a good reminder for me, for all of us, that at some point we have enough information. We don't need to read yet another book or even listen to yet another podcast on how to be a good financial advisor unless we're implementing, in which case listen to everything you can, but don't think that if I learn just one more thing, then I'll be successful. The success comes from doing. One piece of Schadenfreude, for those of you familiar with that term, Derek has no morning rituals. So as you know, our good friend Micah Shalansky has a very methodical morning ritual. Our good friend Coach Joe Lucas is an advocate of morning rituals. Derek has no morning ritual. I don't have much of one either. I like to read in the morning, but that's about it. All right, three key action items that I want you to take from this book, whether you read it or not. Though, while I'm kind of iffy on reading the book, must listen to his episode with Tim Ferriss. All right, three action items. Action item number one, eliminate the shoulds from your life. We often have these things. I should do this. I should be doing that. I spent years of my career staring at the telephone thinking I should be making telephone calls. I should be approaching prospects. And those shoulds destroy us. Either say, I'm going to do this and do it, or just be honest with yourself and say, I'm not going to do this. Now, if there are things that you want to do, but you're not reliable for doing them, remember the fourth rule of success, which is willpower is not enough. So when you have those things that are shoulds, either tell yourself you're not going to do them or find the extreme accountability that you need to make them happen. A good friend of mine, and well-respected advisor, Taylor Schulte, he said in Extreme Accountability recently, and he said this publicly, so I think I have permission to share it. He said, listen, if I check my email more than twice a day, there is a substantial financial penalty. Now, you can ask Taylor yourself what that financial penalty is, but it was enough that it even caused me to choke on it just a little bit. So again, either do it, don't do it, or find the extreme accountability that will force you to do it. Takeaway number two, from Derek's interview with Tim Ferriss, he gives this example of when he was approached to play music at a pig auction, which I didn't know was a thing. And Derek said, hell yeah, I'll do that. And that willingness to do whatever it took to advance his career ultimately got him to this incredible level of success. So that action item number two is do whatever it takes to get successful in the initial years, obviously within the realms of ethical and legal behavior. But once you reach a certain level of success, that's where you get to this hell yeah or no thanks. Action item number three, probably my second favorite quote from Derek Sivers: "Don't be a donkey. Don't be a donkey." Derek gives this metaphor, this analogy, this parable, if you will, of a donkey is both starving and thirsty, and the donkey comes to a bucket of water and a bucket of oats and keeps going back and forth. Do I eat the oats first or drink the water first? The oats or the water? The oats or the water, until the donkey falls down dead. Often as advisors, we spend all of this time. Do I do a podcast or do I do a blog? A podcast or a blog? Pick one. Even if you have to flip a coin, pick one and run with it. Don't be the donkey that dies trying to decide. So, Hell Yeah or No by Derek Sivers. Also his podcast episode with Tim Ferriss, must listen to. And in the immortal words of Nacho Libre, go away, read some books.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife.